Yeah, it has been an interesting 24 hours. You were affected by the fires like right away?
Yeah, almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
We were without power, and it was a whole to do. Had to miss work because of that.
Oh, Narf.
Narf.
So, what was the reason for you missing work? Like,
Well, the power was completely out,
oh, so the
and
wife.
that killed the Wi-Fi. And I work remotely, so I can only work through the Wi-Fi, and it was just not working. It was out, and usually it comes back
Yeah.
fairly quickly or within the same day, but we went overnight without it.
Oh, Narf.
Yeah, so
But
couldn't
I,
work, couldn't do anything.
it was last night that y'all had the power back, or this morning?
We got it back last night. Last
Last night.
night, around 6:30 ish,
Okay.
and we lost power Tuesday night around 11. But
I see.
right before that, it was like it went out and came back, and then it flickered a little bit, and flickered some more, and then everything went out.
Yeah. Well, how about Diosy? We spent it together. How do you? I know you've been really very affected by it emotionally because you have such a strong connection to like the mountains. So I know we could probably say that for after because we. Do you just want to like preview the show real quick and let everybody know what we're gonna have?
Hmm.
Just because
Yeah.
we're gonna have a phone call in a couple minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, we are. So today, Daniel and Jose the Panda were kind of chatting up, and uh, I knew they had a show today, and we were kind of Daniel and I were kind of talking about how important it is to get the word out on just what our local elected officials have to say, and also some organizations that we've been connected with in the past. And so we reached out to them, and we reached out to Jose the Panda, and Jose the Panda was like, you know what, this is like really important. It's really what's going on right now. So I think you guys should take over the show right now, do a collab with Daniel Molina. I know Jose the Panda, where he's currently staying. They were affected last night with the fires in Hollywood, so he felt it was best to stay home. But he is going to be calling in at some point during the show, so we're looking forward to chatting up with him and catching up and seeing where he's at. But for our guests, we're going to be hearing from Senator Caroline Menjivar in just a few minutes, and then we'll be hearing from Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez, as well as Margarita Pelayo from Nature for All, and then we're going to have Tiana Vargas in from Initiate Justice. And, these folks are going to talk to us about real time things that are going on right now in our community, and how they're going to let us know how we are being impacted and the impacts we can. That's Senator Caroline Menjivar, guys. So I'm going to step out and take this call real quick. But Daniel.
We're gonna play a song real quick and we'll bring the senator back on. So you'll hear us back on in a second with the senator, and we'll all have a conversation. What I mean by that is Maria and Diosy will mostly have a conversation,
Oh,
and I'll
just
be over
Diosy.
here. Yeah. All
Okay,
right.
bye.
What's up, everyone? We are back. You guys are tuned in to KROJ 101.5 FM. This is the Panda Hour collaboration with Voces Unidas. On the phone right now, we have Senator Caroline Menjivar. Hi, Caroline Menjivar. How are you?
Hi, good evening, y'all.
Um, so we know that you're out there right now. You've been out there. We just had a press conference. What can you tell us right now, right off the bat, that we should know?
I really appreciate you taking time out of your segment to talk about this because it's so important to get correct, factual information out to our communities. Um, you can easily get misinformation online, and it's important to follow trusted messengers. Right now, the Hearst fire, all evacuation orders have been lifted. It's still around 700 acres, a little less than 700 acres, and it damaged approximately 2 homes. But no lives were lost, and the damage was very, very minor. We do have another spot fire in the north part of the Senate District, the Creek Fire. Not near any homes right now, and no evacuation orders have been addressed, have been issued in that area. We're just are tracking everything and sharing the information. Right now, we're just tracking the Kenneth fire just to see if it's the Canoga Park area, but it doesn't seem to be going that way, and it's mostly focused on the Ventura fire. I mean, I have a lot of information. I know we don't have a lot of time, so if you want to ask me any specific question, I'll dive in.
Of course. As a mom myself, I'm hearing a lot of concern from families about the impact of the fires on our kids, whether it's the smoke or the air quality or just the stress of it all. Can you talk a little bit about what's being done to keep families safe right now, especially the little ones?
Absolutely. Today I was at Sepulveda Middle School, and I saw people come with their kids to pick up food, and I didn't see a single one of them wearing masks. And at that point, our air quality was at 155. That's 3 times the limit of what good air quality is. So I want to thank Discovery Cube, who is opening their doors for free to have kids and families go there and spend some time away from this bad air. Also, the YMCA is opening their doors to make sure that they have centers for teens to stay out of the outside. People are recommending to limit your time outside. I've seen people hiking. I know it's really important for your mental health to be outdoors, but right now is not the time. I've seen people use lawn blowers to address the leaves on their homes. Right now is not the time. So for the safety, we're just telling people to use the child and daycare centers that YMCA has listed. Stay indoors. Go to places that are open and free for people right now. And the only thing we want people to do right now is wear PPEs, and then we'll address the quality of air after the fires are done.
Thank you. Yes, this was one of my questions. A lot of us are worried about the air quality. It affects our kids, our elders, our pets. What other steps are being taken right now to monitor and address this the air quality right now? And then what can families do to stay safe? I know you just expressed that there are these spaces that are open, but there are kids who, are experiencing asthma, especially in our community, which is already highly polluted. The air is already highly polluted.
Yeah. Yeah, so I am in daily briefings with Cal OES, and that's our statewide operations of emergency services, and this topic is being talked about top of mind. I bring up this topic up in Sacramento all the time about an area that continues to be not thought of. This year we're going to be looking at our cap and trade, the Prop $4 that brought $10 billion for the climate bond. We're going to make sure that we take advantage of that, and not just because of the fires, but because this area is always foully polluted, addressing our air quality in this area. So I would tell people to wear an N95 mask. Tomorrow I'm going to be giving out some N95 masks at a school distribution site. We haven't picked one yet. We'll put that on our website, but we'll be giving out N95s and then asking people to make sure they wear one. If they don't have one, to reach out to us and we can help provide that. And then to also keep up to date on the air quality with the South Coast Air Quality Management District. The index map tells you your quality of air in your community. And then I'm going to continue to fight up in Sacramento to address this. I think, I hate that people have to buy their own air monitoring filters and air purifiers. These things should be made free or subsidized for people who live in these areas because it's not their fault. So those are some of the things top of mind.
Thank you. Thank you. Last question here. A lot of people are worried about power outages, especially with the high winds and the trees that are coming down. What's being done to keep the power on, and are there any tips for families to stay safe if their lights go out?
So even though the evacuation orders have been lifted, the Richie Valens evacuation site is still open for those who have lost their power. So I would say if you don't have anywhere to go and you have no power at your home, you are more than welcome to go to the Richie Valens Recreation Center until your power comes back on. There is a number that we posted on our website for where to call DWP to find out when your power is going to be back on. And then you can also always, of course, reach out to us to get information on that. But I would say, and that number, just if you want to write it down, is 1-800-342-5397. I would say right now we have approximately 93,000 customers without power. If you see something that's a power line that is down, please don't go towards it. Call 911 immediately and have a go bag ready to go. Portable chargers, have them charged fully, completely. Have a go bag with flashlights ready to go. If you have pets, what I've been doing with my dogs, I check outdoors before I let them out to my backyard to make sure there's no lines that have fallen and no trees that have fallen, because I want to make sure it's safe before my pets go outside. If you are the owners who just have a doggy door, make sure you're checking outside for that. And it's all obviously for kids as well. And then we are anticipating still some shout outs, power outages throughout the weekend into the early next week. And you're going to be seeing DWP all across LA City and the Valley working night and day. There was a transmission pole that fell near Silmar, and SoCal Edison has provided security around there because it's a hiking trail, and we're taking all protective measures to ensure no one gets hurt. So it's just stay away from power lines. If your power goes out, Richie Valens is available. If you don't have nowhere else to go, have a go bag. And then I'm hoping in the next hour, the ones that have no power in summer will be seeing power again.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Senator Caroline Menjivar. If you have any last words, and maybe let community members know where they can find you on social media and on your website.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. You know, my job here is to compile all the work that firefighters doing, city and county are doing, and make sure you have it in one stop so you're not searching everywhere. You can get updated information on my Instagram, and my handle is Sen, short for Senator, Sen Caroline Menjivar. Sen Caroline Menjivar. Send us DMs. We're here to work for you. And everyone, you know, if you're told to evacuate, please just evacuate, and be ready if you're in an evacuation warning. And we're doing everything we can to respond to everyone's requests. Thank you, everyone, for having me on
Thank
this
you.
show.
Thank you
so
to your
much.
team.
There, okay?
Thank you,
Senator.
guys.
Be safe.
Be safe.
Take care.
Well, there you have it, guys. That was Senator Caroline Menjivar with some updates on what's going on. Comadre, I know we were just talking about you being impacted right from the beginning with the power outages. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? I know we talked about how you had just made food. And I know that this was not a singular experience, right?
No. So, I mean, we've gone through some blackouts here and there. You know, every once in a while when we have the Santa Anas, or when there's some kind of repair or breakdown, we'll experience something. But it's a handful of times that I can't even remember it. But yesterday, I think it was expected, but what I wasn't expecting was how long it took for the power to get back. And then as soon as I got the power back, I was like, oh my God, thank you so much, universe, because I know there's still people, like the senator just mentioned, they're still out of power. Like, they haven't been able to get back to normal life. And the food, like, yeah, like, you don't even think about, like, you have a lot of food in your fridge. Like, I literally just went grocery shopping. We went to Costco, we got ice cream. I had meal prepped some Peruvian food, and we were just like so excited to looking forward to it. And the power went out, so we were very careful about not opening the fridge, just because, you have that sort of insulation that occurs when it's cold. And it was like hours and hours and hours and overnight, and then more hours and more hours. And so by the time it was like 3:00, I was just like, I don't know what's going to happen to that food that we just cooked. So I had to call my mom, and I'm like, I know there's a bunch of people at home. Can you guys take this food? Because I don't know. I'm not going to be able, I can't even eat it because I can't even heat it up. So that was an experience. And then realizing that, yes, I have a cell phone, and it was great having the cell phone, but like the cell phone battery runs out so fast. And when you don't have power, you realize how quickly that power goes out, and just waiting for the power to come back was like, it felt like time was just standing still. It was awful.
I bet. I bet. Well, my power went out just like for, it was in and out. It wasn't out for an extended amount of time like you. But it was enough for me to go to the grocery store, get some non-perishables, and make sure that my family was stocked up on, dry beans and canned
Did you
goods.
go to the Vallarta at all?
I didn't.
So I passed by the Vallarta yesterday, and it looked very strange because the power was out, and it was completely empty. It was the weirdest thing. I've never seen a Vallarta like closed or empty unless it's like 3 in the morning. You're passing by, but then I guess it must have been security, but like they backed up their minivan and like blocked the entrance, like the
No.
main entrance where you go in and out. Like there's like
Yeah.
the water machines, there's like all the tortillas
Yeah,
on the
yeah, yeah,
side.
yeah.
They had like wedged their car like right in there, and Mike was like, "What are they like trying to prevent looters? Like, why?" It was just very strange to see
Probably.
it. But yeah, it was. They were blocking the entrance.
Did you hear in the press conference today? I was working while I briefly heard the mayor talking about how it's going to be zero tolerance for looting, that they're going to be very, very harsh on the looting.
I have feelings about that.
Yeah? You want to
Yeah.
share your feelings real quick?
Yeah, well, because why is looting the first thing to focus on? Like, why is it like the punishment, where if you literally had entire blocks and cities and of destruction, there may be one or two people. I mean, I think I heard it like earlier when they were talking about the looting. But I mean, it almost feels like they're trying to make it seem like they're gonna really like, okay, like we really have it together now. Like, no, no, no. But if you think about like what a lot of these devastations are happening, they tend to be wealthy areas.
Yeah.
So are we really worried about the looting in Silmar, or are we really worried about the looting in Pacific Palisades? Because let me tell you, I did a work event months ago over the summer in the Pacific Palisades in a famous actor's home, and I remember driving by a grocery store. Well, I went into the grocery store because I needed to go get ice. So my coworker and I got in my car. We went to go get ice. And Pacific Palisades is like a little tiny town, and there's hardly any cell phone reception. So you have to get down from the top to the bottom to the little town.
Yeah.
And the little town is small, but it's very, very filled with shops and restaurants. And I went in there to get the ice. And yesterday I saw footage of the Pacific Palisades, and that whole area that had just been a couple months ago is gone. Like the grocery store that I was in, gone. And that was the most surreal thing. But then when you're looking at this devastation, it's literally just ashes. It's like I don't know what you could loot from there. So I think that the focus shouldn't be on, we're gonna punish you if you loot, but it should be like, okay, well, where is the need right now? Like, clearly, yes, Pacific Palisades, but are there other communities that are being affected that are going to need, like the senator just mentioned, like she's letting us know where and what and how she's helping her community so that it doesn't get to that, right? So I feel like the approach should be more humane, more holistic to addressing the problem, and not focusing on a punishment for solution. So yeah, so that's why I was a little annoyed that I heard them talk about looting, because it's not like,
That's a bit of a gentle parenting tactic, if I may say. I was talking to my kid's therapist the other day, and she was kind of suggesting that instead of focusing on the punishment, we focus on the actual problem and the actual, focusing, not diverting from that, and not, yeah. So
'cause it is
I
part of
can
the
I can
human
see,
experience.
yeah, I can see why you feel that way. We are gonna go on a quick little musical break, and when we come back on, we're gonna be on air with Nature for All. Margarita Palayo is going to be with us, and Brenda Kyle. Brenda Kyle is the program manager at Nature for All, and Margarita Palayo is also you know what? I don't know Margarita's official title because Margarita and I go back into community and I called her. But we'll be letting you guys know what their official titles are. But they are with Nature for All. And we are very excited to connect with them and to hear about what's going on with the San Gabriel National Monument. And we already know, we've heard very sadly, unfortunately, that the Eaton Canyon was affected and that their nature center has been burnt down. So looking forward to hearing updates from them. And we'll be right back, y'all.
Hey, everybody. We're back with a special edition of the Panda Hour with Voces Unidas and Las Comadres. So, Diosy, can you introduce our next guest?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. So next up, we have environmental organizer from Nature for All, and advocacy and organizing manager, Margarita Palayo. And we also have program manager, Brenda Kyle. And again, they are from Nature for All. Hi, guys. How are you guys doing?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. Hi, how are you? We're doing as well as we can be under the circumstances.
Yes. We heard that there's some very, very unfortunate news, and we're hoping to hear from you guys. But as of right now, the recent fires have caused a significant damage to the newly expanded San Gabriel National Monument, including Eden Canyon. The Nature Center was burnt down. What can you guys share about the extent of the damage of the area and how it will affect the ecosystem that depends on that?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, unfortunately, fires are still active. The 18 Canyon fire is still active, but we do know that about a little bit over close to 14,000 acres, 3,690 acres have been burned. There was also, unfortunately, 4 deaths, but we don't know the full extent of the loss, to the damages that occur. We probably won't know that until way later. But we do know that for sure the Eaton Canyon Nature Center building burned down, and we're really sad about that. The Eaton Canyon area, and is where a lot of our activities happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a place that we hold deep in our hearts, and where we take a community out to hike and to experience the nature center. The kids love that, and it's also the place where we had a kickoff for our monument expansion. So very unfortunate, but we unfortunately do not know as of now what is going to be the total loss.
Yeah.
And if I can add, there's really no way that we will know until after the rainy season. The fires are one thing, but what happens after the rain, we have mud and debris flow where more things come down from the mountain, topsoil gets washed away, etc. So there's not a way to know exactly the extent of, it's not even the word damage, of the extent of the change that has happened until after the rainy season.
Yes, I can understand that. Many people in the community are passionate about protecting our local nature spots like Eden Canyon. How can everyday residents get involved in supporting the recovery of the San Gabriel National Monument? Are there any volunteer opportunities or any specific initiatives that we can help with?
Yeah, I can talk about that, Margarita. A message went out from Richard. He is the current superintendent of Eaton Canyon Natural Area. It's pretty much asking everyone to be patient and stay away. There are gates that are locked, et cetera, et cetera. We have to give the land time to rest and recover. Imagine that you have a burn on your body and someone wants to give you a hug. It's going to hurt, you need to give the land space and time to recover. So when and if restoration happens, it's going to happen under two different umbrellas, either county natural areas and the Forest Service, because those are the two entities that are in charge of that area. So for right now, stay away. The forest is closed. Eaton is closed as well. If you want to help on recovery efforts, you can send an email with your name and phone number to ecnca@gmail.com. ECNCA. ECNCAG@gmail.com or Eaton Canyon at parks.lacounty.gov. Eaton Canyon at parks.lacounty.gov. And you'll be added to the list of volunteers when things do get going. They'll need all the help that they can get. And if you wanted help with recovery efforts for donations or just find out more about what is at Eaton Canyon, the website for that is ecnca.org.
Thank you so
We
much.
also just
Go ahead, Margarita.
we just want to remind community that as of now until next week, the park continues to be closed. The monument for LA Angeles Forest is closed, and the best thing we can really do to support responders and the fire department is to just like stay away. I know we love nature and we're antsy. A lot of us are experiencing high emotions, but this is not the time to go hiking. We need to just kind of stay away, stay indoors for the safety of everyone.
Thank you, Margarita and Brenda. Along with, the recovery of the San Gabriel National Monument, how can we better prepare for future fires and protect our natural spaces and homes near these areas? Are there any strategies in place right now to create buffer zones or to reduce fire risk in vulnerable spots like the San Gabriel National Monument, like the San Gabriel Mountains and Eden Canyon?
Oh wow, that's a question that we can spend hours on. But number one, if you do live near what we call the urban wild interface, have what's called defensible space around your home. Try and do native plants. Make sure that they are well hydrated, etc. That's the physical things that you can do. Have your go back ready. Even if there's not a fire, having all of your emergency essentials in one bag by your door, in your closet, in your car is going to help you survive either a fire, an earthquake, any kind of natural disaster, even the power being out. Have that go bag ready, and there are resources online that you can visit. First, let's see, there's Red Cross has information, FireNet has information. I can't think of any other websites off the top of my head, but definitely, a simple Google search, defensible space, will give you ideas on how to protect the area around your home. Sometimes that can't be done, but we can try.
Yeah, and then, just also when we're out in nature, a lot of us who either hike or camp, we always want to remember our principles of leave no trace. And part of those principles is making sure that we don't start fires who, like, anywhere where it's not allowed, right? And that if there is fires allowed, that we are, making sure that we're making sure that things are done safely, and we know what is safe, whether, like, it's only like propane stoves allowed or open fire. We need to know the difference, and when no fire is allowed at all. Sometimes that's not intentional, but it could cause great harm if we leave fire unattended. You might think like, well, I'm just gonna go to the restroom. I'll be right back, and leave fire, and something could happen within seconds, right? So remembering the principles of leave no trace is super important when you are creating in nature. Recreate responsibly.
Thank you so much for that message. Last question for you guys. With the recent success of the San Gabriel National Monument expansion, the timing of these fires must feel especially heartbreaking. I know they do for me. And I'm so grateful for you guys for including Valley Views, SFA Media, Voces Unidas, and Pacoima with the recent successes of the San Gabriel National Monument expansion. How does this setback affect the National Monument of conservation efforts? And what message would you give those who are feeling discouraged by the damage?
Yeah, I mean, ourselves are very saddened by the news, right, of fire, and unfortunately, right, we don't know what will be, the total loss, or like how much restoration will be needed until, like Brenda said, right, after the rains come. But for us, knowing that Eaton Canyon is a place where Nature for All Coalition gathers, when we have like important gatherings. That's Eaton Canyon came up when President Biden first established a monument, and Eaton Canyon has been the place where we kicked off our San Gabriel Mountains National Monument expansion campaign. It's really sad. Unfortunately, this happened, and we have staff members who are struggling also themselves with the fires, and we have partners in the surrounding area who have lost their homes. So there is a lot of emotions right now being processed, and we have a lot of love for those mountains. We will continue to work closely with both the Forest Service and the LA County Parks and Recs to make sure that we continue to be supportive. And part of our Nature for All coalition work is continuing to advocate for resources for the Angeles Forest and for public land, right? So for our monument, as we know, right, the Forest Service already struggled with managing this public lands, and having enough staff and resources. And so we've been working closely to make sure that people are experiencing a dignified experience, a safe and dignified experience when recreating in nature. So 2025 is going to be a time where we keep pushing for that, right, and asking our government and our elected officials to join us in those efforts, and making sure that public lands such as the monument continues to receive funding and resources, so that generations to come can enjoy the spaces.
Yeah, and I can also say that it's not the first time Eaton has burned. It burned down in 1993. At that time, it was called the Kenaloa Fire. And the Nature Center burned to the ground again. And it took a good 3 or 4 years before the Nature Center came back up. The oak trees came back. Some of the willows and everything that was along the water did okay. There was a lot of mud and debris flow, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Normal burning for this kind of habitat is about every 50 to 75 years. So it's only been 30 years.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not going to be easy to know what the extent of the change is going to be. But it does serve as a lesson on why we need these open spaces. Nature for All has taken hundreds of people in and around Eaton Canyon, and the experience is always, mira qué bonito, ay, me siento libre, oh, just beautiful, beautiful words. And I think that everyone that we've taken there has a little piece of Eaton Canyon with them. So
Yes.
if you let that land, give it time to recover, give it space, dejar que se sane. And when the time is right, we'll come back and we'll do what we need to do as Nature for All. We will help with whatever is asked. If that's tree planting, that's tree planting. If
Yes.
that's programming, that's programming. If that's picking up trash, that's picking up trash. Like Margarita said, that place is near and dear to our hearts. We have so many people around the area that have been impacted, and definitely are hoping that everyone is safe.
Thank you. We are looking forward to staying connected with you and staying updated. I share a lot of the same sentiments as you. I took my kids up there quite a bit when they were toddlers, and it was a space where we did a lot of growing together. And so I'm very heartbroken along with you guys. Thank you so much, Margarita and Brenda. We are going to go ahead and jump into our next segment here with Celeste Rodriguez. We'll go ahead and continue sharing on Instagram your guys' posts. Again, you guys can find more information for Nature for All on Instagram at Nature for All. And we'll hear from you guys soon.
Yeah, so I'm actually, if I could, I know our name is Nature for All, but on social media, we go by, so you can find us at LA Nature for All. I know that little LA, sometimes we don't mention it. But thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
We will continue to educate community about what, how we can help. And, when we start replanting trees and plants, we will for sure invite community to join us.
Okay. Thank you so much, Margarita. We'll talk soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Well, that was Nature for All. Again, at LA Nature for All on Instagram. Joined here with us in the studio, we have Assemblywoman Celeste Rodriguez. Hi. How are you? We're going to talk right into this white part right here.
No, put it up here. It's okay. Sorry.
Okay, set up here.
How does that sound?
That sounds great. We can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How are you? Thank you so much for making it in person. Wow. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So you were at both press conferences today.
Yes.
We saw you on the big screen. How does that feel? Like, I know it's obviously such a heartbreaking experience, such heartbreaking news, but still, congratulations.
Thank you.
And how was that experience for you today to step from being mayor of San Fernando to now being assemblywoman and taking part in such big roles?
It's such a big change, I think, and I'm pretty much starting this week. I was sworn in last month, but I've been in community, and I started going to Sacramento this week, and I actually flew home early because of the fire, and so it's a pretty intense way to start my first week up in regular session in Sacramento. But I am really proud to represent our community. I think about how important it is that the Northeast Valley is represented in these conversations as all of these fires rage. And of course, there's devastation across the region. We had such severe devastation in 2008 in the Sylmar fires. And I think a lot of that is what has protected us to the level we've been protected. But then I think it sometimes seems like, we don't need to think about them. We move on. And not that anyone frames it that way, but I do think it's important we're represented in all the conversations about safety because, as we know, the winds can turn at any moment. And it's so important that we not lose any communities the way we have in the past. So I'm really proud to be able to be there to represent us, to ensure that we're always at the table, especially when it comes to these types of services.
Yes. Thank you so much, too, for the representation that you've created and for the space that you've created for others to step in and continue that representation for folks like us, Chicanos, Latinos, whatever you want to call yourselves, but brown folks, we are so happy to have you representing us. It's definitely a scary time for families, especially families with kids looking for answers. What would you say to moms and dads who are worried about the impact on their children, whether it's the fear of fires or the strain from the uncertainty or even just like the air pollution that we're experiencing?
So many thoughts, right? I'm a mom myself. I have a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they're both in school. These fires have obviously called all of our first responders out, but the day-to-day has gone on for a lot of our community. Like, folks have to work, and it's not all of us have the luxury of taking time off. And I recognize that, especially for our community. And so a lot of the conversation, for example, about LAUSD shutting down was, from what I understand, especially from the school district, was such a challenging conversation because it's also a place where their children can go while they have to work.
Yeah.
It's a place where a lot of our families get fed. And so I know that was a really tough decision. I talked to the school board member about that, and they have shut down, but they do have meal services available. So I think in reassurance, right, like there are places to pick up meals. Actually, San Fernando Middle School is going to be one of them tomorrow. That's the closest one to here, I believe. Sepulveda Middle School. So their children can take multiple meals home. So that resource is available. And the YMCA is going to be opening up so that folks can, have sort of instructional time, but also recreation space that's indoors, away from this air quality. And so I guess the reassurance is everyone's thinking about the kids. We are trying to make sure that everyone still has their needs met. But even when I picked up my own daughter today, she had a mask on, and she's so little, and they had like an adult mask on her. And I told her, like, good job, you're wearing your mask. She's like, oh yeah, my teacher gave it to me. And I think during COVID, we normalized masks on our children, and it came back to being abnormal again. Like right now, when I saw her and I picked her up, it was such a weird feeling that like we had this poor air quality, and she had to wear it for our kids to stay safe.
Yes.
So I say I want to give reassurance. Well, I'm also a mom, and I need reassurance sometimes.
No, I hear you. I mean, with my own kids, they're here. I don't know if you saw them.
I saw them. Yeah, I said hi.
So I was like, no way am I leaving you at home right now.
Yeah.
So there's just that separation anxiety. There's so much that goes into it, and I'm grateful that I am able to have my kids with me with no strain. I am self-employed. It's a struggle just to be self-employed as well and to have multiple streams of income. One of my jobs, we didn't work for the last 3 days now, with tomorrow. And so, I'm expecting to not have that income this week, but still very grateful that my kids are home, that they're safe, that they're with me, and that the only strain is, money. And so I do want to ask.
Can I interrupt real
Yes,
quick?
go for it.
So we do want to make an announcement, just like reminding everybody to stay safe. We just got a notification that there's a foothill fire on Paxton and Foothill. So the fires are, it's close to us right now. We're about a mile from that one, a mile and a half here from the studio. So just everybody stay safe in the area,
Is it a structure fire, or do
It's
you
a
know?
grass
No.
fire,
It's a grass
2 acre,
Okay, so
2
it's
acre fires.
it's a
Yeah.
wildfire.
2-acre
Wildfire.
fire. Let's see, city property, small, and they're hoping that it'll be contained quickly. I think the challenge is the winds, and every time we think that something's going to be like the Acton fire. I was at the control center here for the fire, Hearst fire, and they were like, another one came up. It was they called it, it's Lydia. It was 1 acre. They're like, it's all right, we're gonna get it. And then an hour later, it was 50 acres, right? And then, so I think that it's one of those things that, again, it's so hard. How do you reassure people while also make sure people stay prepared and not take things for granted? I think this is here because someone reported it, and that's what's most important. There are wins. If you see anything, report it, because the faster they get to it, the faster they can address it. And
exactly.
do you all promote yet the Watch Duty app?
The Watch Duty app? I haven't.
It's called Watch Duty.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we know about it, but if you can tell us
can't
about
promote
it.
it, but I think you can.
It's a 501c3. It's a nonprofit. I double checked that today.
Okay.
Watch Duty. So WATCHDUTY. The icon is a flame. From what I understand, it's like crowdsource information, but like verified.
Jose the Panda said he uses it. So.
And today I went to the LA City Emergency Operations Center. They had it on their screen.
Oh, okay, so they're using that as well.
Yeah, it was an extra validator that folks are using this to keep updates on fire. So if you see it right here, which we're on the radio obviously, but if you pull up the app, it'll be able to show you what's going on, and then you click it and it says updates, and it'll keep giving you updates. I'll show you.
I've seen the app on Instagram. I've seen people repost it. Or screenshot.
Yes. So now the Hearst fire is at 671 acres at 37% containment, which is the best containment we've seen so far.
Wow. Well,
we just want to thank you so much, Assemblywoman. We're not ending the interview, but I just want to remind everybody listening that we're listening to KRJ 101.5 FM Radio Alin, streaming out of Pueblo Salud here in San Fernando City, in California. We're speaking to State Assemblywoman Celeste Rodriguez. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Diosy. Thank you, Maria, for being here on behalf of Voces Unidas and Las Comadres. And shout out to Jose the Panda. See you texting us live. Talk to you soon. But Diosy, if you want to continue.
Yeah, I mean, well, one thing I love about our community is like how tight-knit we are. And I wanted to ask, how have you seen people come together since the fires, and what can we do as a community to stay strong and to keep each other going?
It has been incredible how much everyone's been looking out for each other. I think immediately as the fires broke out, I've noticed, especially now in my role in Sacramento, how uncoordinated communication was in the immediate response. And while that would be incredibly challenging and still is, so many people were giving each other information. And so many people were reporting what they were seeing. And I think it's been an incredible moment, like you mentioned, of us coming together. People are offering so many donations, and now other folks are being able to intercept those donations and coordinate them. And so it's the best of us during the worst of times, and it's something that I hope we can continue, right? We always have these moments where we come together, and we have to find a way to leverage that, and just remember that we always have to be prepared. We always have to look out for our neighbor the way we've been doing during this fire.
Yes, and we've faced tough times before, but there's something special about the resilience of the San Fernando Valley. And what's your message to everyone who's working so hard to rebuild, both physically and emotionally? I know that there's just so many reasons right now for community to feel down. We had some losses with the recent elections. We had some wins, but that left community feeling pretty divided. And now with what's going on, what are maybe some words of encouragement, or what is something that you can say to community to kind of help?
I think people just need to take a deep breath. I think in addition to just giving like words of hope, I want to make sure people recognize, like, we have to pause, like we have to stop scrolling. While we're seeing all these beautiful moments together, we're also seeing really scary images consistently. the last couple of days, and it's going to continue because the aftermath, some people have described it as looking like a bomb dropped, and it really does look devastating. And so I think in no way do I want to say like look away and forget this is happening. Like, it's happening now, and we have to be alert for everyone's safety. But also we have to like stop and take a breath and take a moment to prepare and just appreciate what we have.
Yes, definitely.
A lot of folks lost everything, including their lives, and we're not even done yet. And so if we could all, I guess my personal note is like, let's all be reflective of what we do have, and be conscientious of how we can ensure that we're always safe. We all need to have that go bag. Like, this is a fire. We know the weather, but we don't know when a spark is going to light up the fire, and we definitely don't know when an earthquake is going to happen, and we know it can and will happen. Oh my God, sorry.
I know. I'm like,
but I think this is one of the things, like, we cannot forget the lessons.
No.
We cannot forget that we're here for each other. We cannot forget that there are ways to be more prepared. And we can't take anything for granted ever.
Yeah, you're so right about that. And I think that it's so hard to deal with the fear mongering and to, like you said earlier, to like where's that there's a very thin line between, not creating too much of a stir, but making sure folks are taking this serious and staying informed and making sure that they're not overlooking anything. And so I'm right there with you when it comes to that. We have faced tough times before, but oh wait, I already said that question. Sorry, guys.
I have a question.
No, I'm loving how prepared you are, by the way.
Oh,
I
thank
respect.
you.
I have a question, actually. I don't know how much you've heard about this. There have been some people that have been affected by the fires and have reported that at some point, like, their policies have been canceled. And what have you heard about about that kind of thing, where like the people that may have suffered this, like, how could they rebuild? Because there are some exclusions, there's clauses, there's a lot of what it really seems right now that the insurance companies are trying to really maximize their profits, so they're trying to really not cover the way that it should, like a structure fire will be covered, but if it's an earthquake, you need a separate policy.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about what you've been experiencing as a assemblywoman, being out in the community? Have you heard any of that happening in our community immediately right now?
So before, like, being an elected official, like, I'm a person with a home who looked at a policy and, like, saw that there said, like, you get this policy minus earthquake insurance, and then separately you buy earthquake insurance.
And how expensive is that?
Yeah, I remember being wild and being very confused. Like, how can you not have earthquake insurance here?
Oh, and then flood insurance.
Yeah, and so it's been, I think even that, right? Like, experiencing home ownership, that's not something I had ever, like, known before, and so navigating that space is really hard. And I actually was at Oak Ridge today, which is the community that was impacted in past fires, and is consistently, right now it's on alert, and they had to evacuate. And I discussed this very thing with them today because there's from what I understand, an alternate insurance because insurance companies have left and the prices are unmanageable. And so there is a state supported insurance, and I'm learning about this from our own residents.
Wow.
and from also the gaps. She said that's essentially not comparable to private insurance, but it's the affordable option. And so I'm looking now to learn more, because what she's telling me is, like, we need to do more. If the public, if the business market is not offering this ability for many reasons, right, to ensure all homes that are in fire zones is like a risk. And I understand there's different things that they have to calculate, but at the same time, our community, like, cannot struggle under the cost of insurance, but also cannot afford not to have insurance.
Yeah.
In the event that something happens. Like, so we have to figure out some sort of balance. And I'm immediately looking forward to understanding what the proposed solutions have been and how we move forward. And so many LA representatives have been impacted by this. A lot of us new faces in Sacramento are here because we have fires in our community, and I'd like to think that we're going to work together to resolve these types of issues, because all of our constituents are going to face it.
Yeah, because this also reminds me a little bit of what happened in Hawaii a couple years back, where think it was Maui, or there was like a large fire in Hawaii, and a lot of the Native Hawaiians that owned land had been affected by this fire, and they've lost everything. And basically, it really seemed like developers were sort of waiting in the wings to try and offer out like a buyout.
That's
for
what
these.
we had heard, right? Yeah, that
Yeah.
people were like buying property. That's something that has been posted a lot, actually, even by the I think the insurance commissioners had posted it, was don't make any immediate decisions. And I think that's a really important message for anyone. Thankfully, we haven't lost structures here from the Hearst fire, but obviously many people did. And in a moment of like that sort of a traumatic experience and perhaps desperation, depending on people's financial situation, the advice has been to not make an immediate decision.
That's good. That's good to hear and good to know, because like, like y'all were just mentioning earlier, it is a luxury, it seems like, to be able to just miss work.
Yes.
Diosy has missed work because she's self-employed, and the small business just cannot operate during this time right now. But even me, I had some pay time off, so I was affected yesterday. I lost internet connection, power for a whole day, and I was like, oh, let me just tell my boss, let me explain to her what's going on, and I'll use some time off that I have. But that's also finite. Like, I only have a certain amount of days before I'm not covered anymore. So even though like I have a little bit of that like luxury of having some pay time off and being able to have the ability to take care of my home and my family, it's not guaranteed. So then that's where my thought comes in of where like the insurance plays in, because like if you're not going to work and you're affected and you have no insurance to cover you, like how do you navigate that space? So I'm thankful that you're discussing that you're bringing awareness to that issue, because we would hate to see our tight-knit community of Northeast San Fernando Valley be affected the way that the Native Hawaiians were affected, where a lot of their hard work and legacy homes and things like that had been in the families for generations were lost because of a tragedy, because maybe insurance wasn't covering it, and then a predator real estate developer comes in. And it's also not comforting, because there's also a lot of new developing coming around in the area, and there's that promise of affordable housing, but then come to find out that out of those 200 units, only 20 of those are going to be affordable housing. So it feels like a thin line to balance, and that must be tough for you to be able to grapple with all of those multifaceted dimensions, topics that you deal with. And
there's already discussion about rebuilding, especially in the Palisades. It's just what does rebuilding look like? Right. And I'm so thankful that we're not having to have that conversation right now. And I'm hopeful that the winds will subside throughout the night, and we can take a breath this weekend, because the wind's supposed to come back, from what I understand, on Monday. But those are all questions, and if ever we're impacted, right, there's a question of generational wealth. Even when communities start to look different, how do we ensure that people are secure in their mortgages or in their homes, or that there's planning for assets to be passed on? Because even in COVID and when there was the past economic bubble that burst, so many beyond the things you hear about, generational wealth was lost. And how do we ensure that doesn't happen? And in a lot of our community, like even in my own grandmother's home in Pacoima, when she passed, it turned out when her husband passed, they never put it in her name. So then we had to show that he had passed. There's so many, it's paperwork.
Yes, it's a lot of paperwork.
And like, who's going to walk my grandma who immigrated here, through that paperwork? So things that we can also think about, though, proactively, like right now, we can work on things like that, so that it never has to become the issue that we didn't address before.
And just recently, this last episode of Valley Views, we had Ira Hart, a local insurance agent with Allstate here in the city of San Fernando. Unfortunately, we didn't get to discuss like life insurance or We did discuss some home insurance, auto insurance, and stuff like that. But these are all topics that we should be covering, and we should be accessible to community.
And that no one teaches us.
Nobody does.
Did you all know that umbrella insurance is really what you should have if you're a homeowner?
What is it?
Umbrella insurance?
I don't know. I'm not a homeowner.
At AAA, try to sell me insurance, umbrella insurance. So basically, umbrella insurance, it's like if you're a homeowner, you have a family, you have assets. Whereas you have car insurance and homeowners insurance, you have umbrella insurance, where I think it's like $1 million policy where it like protects your home. It protects you in a lot of different ways.
Is this the one that will protect you, like if you go like traveling and your assets get like stolen?
I'm not sure. I think that might be different because there's also add-ons to that. And that's the thing too. Like a lot of us don't know really how to navigate the world of insurance. I really didn't learn how to navigate the world of health insurance until like recently. And to be honest, I'm still like trying to figure out what like the deductible, what it actually means. I'm like, wait, 500, 800. So it's really important for us to know and be educated about that. So because I didn't know what umbrella insurance was, and this guy was trying to sell it to me, and it made sense at the moment, but it just really wasn't within my budget at that time. But I mean, there's so much to know and to be informed of, because if we're not reading all that like fine print.
Yeah.
My sister's also trying to look at like pet insurance, and she's having to like
people. Yeah. That it's so expensive.
It's so expensive.
Everything. Whenever I hear from people about like what they have to spend, to keep, like they see their pets as family members, and it's not something that people like save for, but it's something they,
you have to.
They feel really compelled to do because it's about saving their family, and they weren't ready for it financially.
Banfield pet insurance was my go-to. It has been my go.
Well, and I'm so grateful that you all talk about that, because there's also so many like predators out there, honestly, especially like trying to prey on our specific community. Yes. And so I think it's just so amazing that you're having those kinds of conversations that we need to be having here, and also giving all this information about the fire and bringing in folks to have a conversation. Thank you for letting me be a part of it, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Of course.
Thank you for coming. I mean, I think we've been trying to get you in the studio for a little bit now.
Yes.
Well, we've been putting it out into the universe.
We've been having conversations amongst our team and friends.
When can she come?
Well, let me know.
We spotted you during the conference.
I know.
We were like, oh my God.
We were like, wait, look.
It's Assemblywoman.
It's in our group chat.
Like 8 in the morning.
We're like, oh my God, we know her.
It's our people.
Oh my God. Well, one last final question, and then we'll let you go. You've been through a lot of crises before. We know that you've been the mayor of San Fernando, and you've seen this community pull through every time. What keeps you hopeful when you look at what we're facing right now, and how can we use our strength to move forward together?
Moments like this, people like you.
Thank you.
We have so many incredible folks who are always ready to step up, and lending a helping hand, and that's really what all of us do day in and day out. Like, we're just trying to support and uplift our community, and I'm so proud that there's a community within our community who's doing that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for all the work and the representation, and keeping the Northeast San Fernando Valley your top priority, because with a lot of the news happening with all these different wildfires, I don't want us to forget that our community out here, it has been affected, and we're looking to rebuild and regroup as a community.
Thank you so for having me.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back, y'all.
Hello, everybody. So we're back from our little break. Thank you so much to everybody that joined us today. We're gonna give a big thank you at the end, but Diosy and Maria, we have somebody special joining us. The man of the hour, but he's not here because it's the Panda Hour. But hi, Panda. Hi, Jose the Panda.
Hola. How's it going, yo?
Hi, Panda. How are you
Panda.
doing? How you holding up over there? What's the news?
I'm doing good. Yesterday there was a fire on Sunset, and I was actually a couple blocks away, like 4 blocks away from like the evacuation line. But I'm chilling for the most part, Thank you guys, for taking over today. Originally, like, it was just gonna be Abner, myself, and Molina, just talking about music. But it was very obvious to me that like today is like, we need to like spread the word to make sure everyone's safe today. And And you know, originally I thought I could do it, but I realized like, you know, Diosy and Maria, I feel like you guys could like handle it way better than I can. And you guys were like, the second you guys were like, oh yeah, we could do it. You know, you guys were like sprinting, you know, getting people to have on today, and I think that's like amazing. And like, you know, I love the San Fernando Valley, and I love like LA in total. So it's like, you know, like if I need to give up a day today to like make sure the whole city's safe, you know, then of course, you know, that's without a hesitation, you know.
Well, we appreciate you so
Yes,
much
thank you, Panda.
for sharing space with us, and you know, you've shared space with us before, and you know, we're always so grateful. We wish you could be here with us, but we understand. You know, there's a lot going on. But I did want to ask you, Panda, from a creative landscape or from a creative point of view, how are you getting inspired right now by the current events? I know that you posted that you had a song release later today. I don't know if it's already dropped.
It's pulled up right now. We're gonna play it. We're gonna play it right.
We're gonna play it right now, right after you give us a little bit of information. But yeah, how has that process been for you as a creative, as a musician, and did you pull inspiration from this?
Well, I mean, like you guys know me, like, you know, personally, and I always make music from like you know, there's days where I make music from like a fun place, and there's times where I make music because of like my depression. And like, you know, these last couple of days I've been making music because of stress, you know, like I right now, like that music is my only stress reliever, and it's my best stress reliever. It's the best thing I have, you know, to relieve me. And I don't know, like these past couple of days, I just been wanting to work on music and make music. And then yeah, last night I was just up, you know, till like 3 a.m. just working on this song, and I think it's a really catchy, good song, you know. And it's really, you know, it's interesting because my music, like the drums are very like party, but like if you listen to like the key and the chord progressions and all that kind of stuff, it's actually very depressing sounding. And this song is like a beautiful blend of both of them, and I named it LA's on Fire just because, you know, LA's on fire right now, you know. And you know, I don't know, I just you know, I didn't make the song to like, you know, like for like views or clicks. I just made it because, you know, it's just what I'm feeling right now. And this is the only way I know how to express myself. And right now, like my computer screen and my piano is like my best outlet. And I don't know, it's just the only thing I just want to be around right now.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, I'm super excited to hear this song. I heard a bit of a snippet earlier that you posted. So without further ado, here is, what was the title again?
It is LA is on Fire, and this one is for all the creatives. For Panda's letting you know that you can still be creative in the middle of hell, I guess. Right, Panda?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well, let's listen to LA is on Fire. Thanks for calling in, Panda. We'll be back with
Tiana Vargas from Initiate Action.
But we'll let you all know how what we think about the song, and if you have any thoughts about the song, you can hit us on Instagram at the Panda Hour 333 or Voces Unidas in Pacoima or Las Comadres _VU. Bye.
Bye.
Let's listen to it. Hey, everybody. Well, we listened to LA is on Fire by Jose the Panda. You can catch that on his YouTube. But that's creativity in the midst of chaos. And just stay alert, stay active, and hit any of us up to stay updated on how to stay safe during these fires. Or if you need help, we can connect you with some resources or do our best. But Diosy is going to introduce our next guest that can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
So well,
No, you can't.
when we started planning the episode, like it was like I remember thinking of this our next guest, our next caller, because they had like it literally like right now it's not just our LAFD fighting the fires. We have Mexican firefighters, we have incarcerated firefighters, and it's just like inspiring because I'm a person of service, so I can appreciate people who just go out there and put their lives on the line. So I'm excited to hear this next conversation. So Diosy, can you introduce our guest?
Hi, yes, of course. Thank you so much for that little backstory and for remembering our next guest. So, without further ado, our next guest is the founder of Initiate Justice, Tayana Vargas. Hi, how are you, Tayana?
I'm
Taina.
doing well. How are y'all? How are you?
Taina Vargas. Sorry.
It's okay.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. I know that, for a lot of us, our hearts are really heavy watching all of the devastation happen with the fires, that are all over LA County right now. I'm fortunate that, myself and my family are safe, but I do know people who have lost homes, who've been forced to evacuate. We're dealing with smoke inhalation right now, so I know this is a really tough time for everybody, so I really appreciate you all, bringing up this important conversation.
Of course. Thank you so much for always being a point of contact for us and for bringing so much value and knowledge to our conversations. You've been a part of our segments in the past with Voces Unidas and with Valley Views SFE Media. So again, just thank you for joining us once again, especially at such a crucial time. As the founder of Initiate Justice, can you just briefly explain to me why what's going on right now is so impactful?
Absolutely. So, just for a little bit of background, Initiate Justice is an organization made up of people who are formerly incarcerated, currently incarcerated, or people like me who've had incarcerated loved ones, and we work to change California's state law to help make our laws more equitable. So with everything that's happening with the fires right now, I was actually, kind of pleased to see that the media has been covering the fact that many of the people who are fighting these fires are currently incarcerated firefighters. And this is a program that the state of California has benefited from for many years now, where they're able to, pay incarcerated people a low rate with a lot of, safety risks for them to fight these fires. I am also grateful for this conversation, though, because I do think that it is a complicated issue and not as, cut and dry as, the media makes it out to be. Personally, I was married to somebody who was incarcerated and was fighting fires from 2017 to 2018. So I also have, the experience of having been in a close relationship with somebody who, went through the firefighting training program and fought fires. Actually witnessed somebody die during training as well. So very familiar with, all of the risks that are associated with this, and a lot of the, realities that the folks inside face when they're fighting fires.
Yes. And can you share a little bit about that experience? Maybe what it feels like to have a loved one going through that process?
Yes. So I feel like the one thing that I really haven't seen covered in the media very much, unless it's actually been formerly incarcerated people talking, is the fact that, firefighter position in prison is actually, it's voluntary, and it's a very highly sought after position. Not everybody in prison, actually majority of people in prison are not eligible to be a firefighter. You have to be at a certain security level. There are certain,
offenses that would make you ineligible. You have to have a certain amount of time left on your sentence. And then, of course, you have to go through, a physical fitness training as well that you have to pass. So it's very, few people who are incarcerated who are eligible, who meet the criteria, and who are able to complete the training. And the reason that people inside want to become firefighters is because, one, they have access to higher credit earning opportunities. So for my ex-husband, for example, he was able to get 10 months off of his prison sentence for his participation in the program. Some people are able to earn years off of their sentence for participating in the program. And then two, there's a lot more freedom, like within the, prison system that's afforded to people who are working in fire camps or firehouses. A lot of times, they're in a place where there's not actually like a fence, they get to sleep in like regular beds and have access to cooking in kitchens and using like washing machines and dryers. And then visiting is a lot easier for family members as well. In some camps, they're even able to like bring food to visiting, which is something you can't do under normal prison visiting circumstances. So there are a lot of reasons that currently incarcerated people want to become a firefighter. But then the downside of that, of course, is the incredible risks that you're taking with your physical safety, and the fact that you're not getting paid very much. The rates have increased a bit now. Now you get paid, somewhere between $5 and $10 a day as a firefighter when you're inside. And you can get, even more than that when you're fighting an active fire. However, at the time that my ex-husband was incarcerated, the most that you can get paid per day was $2 a day. So
wow.
we've seen some progress, over the last couple of years. And of course, somebody who's taking such an incredible risk with their life deserves to get paid much, much more than that. There's also certain protections that incarcerated people do not have. I think I saw a statistic today saying that incarcerated firefighters are 4 times more likely to be injured because they don't have the same amount of training. They're not protected by things like, life insurance. They don't get hazard pay. If God forbid they lose their lives while fighting, their family members wouldn't get any type of, compensation for that. So it's something that is very complicated. And then at the same time, when folks come out of prison, it's very difficult for them to be hired as firefighters if that's something that they want to do. And again, this is something where we have seen more progress lately. There's legislation passed in 2020 to allow people to have certain parts of their records expunged so that they're able to become firefighters once they get out. So we are making progress there, but we definitely have, very, very far to go. So I appreciate the opportunity to share like some of the complexities, because I feel like everything that I've been seeing in the media is like, oh, these folks are just being like forced to work. They're working for these really low wages. That it's unfortunate because, people who are in such a dire circumstance as prison, they're not necessarily being forced, but they are in a situation where, risking your life fighting a fire seems to be a more appealing option than being in prison. So it's very complicated for those of us who have, gone through this firsthand.
Right. Well, thank you so much for that insight. That's very powerful insight. It's we would not know any of this unless we have, a loved one going through it. So I know Daniel Molina had a question.
Hi, Taina. Thank you so much for informing us on more about like what goes on behind the scenes with incarcerated firefighters. I had 2 questions. Well, I think the first one's a little quick, and maybe the second one you can elaborate a little bit more on. But I had what does like the support from like firefighters out here look like towards incarcerated firefighters? Do they look down on them? Are they like give these guys a chance? Like, cause I would be like, I would expect the firefighters to be like fighting for these people, because if you have people standing there besides you when you're risking your life, like, of course, like, who wouldn't be like, oh yeah, give them the insurance, give them the retirement, whatever we get, like, I mean, I would want to share that personally if I was in that situation. And also, like, how can we maybe support if there is a fight to get them more benefits and more rights as like people who are literally risking their lives to keep us okay in these like scary this is like one of the scariest times I've experienced. So
Yeah. And I think right along with that question that Daniel has, it's right along the lines of what we wanted to talk with you next, which is Prop 6, which was on the ballot this last election season. And we had you on air kind of talking about Prop 6 and the impacts it would have. And so I wanted to revisit that conversation, and maybe you can speak a bit about that with your response to Daniel.
Absolutely. So to respond to your first question, Daniel, that's such an interesting question, and I'm really glad that you asked it. So I can only respond from my perspective. I don't want to make any generalizations, but I do remember, so when my ex-husband was working as an incarcerated firefighter, actually most of the things that they did, and I think this is something else people don't know, is they're not always actively fighting fires. They also serve as like first responders, like in the local community around the prison. So for things like car accidents and stuff like that, or even like emergencies in the prison, like drug overdoses and things like that. So, oftentimes that can be, what an incarcerated firefighter is dealing with more. They're serving as, in the EMT capacity more than a firefighting capacity. But I do remember my ex-husband sharing with me on multiple occasions that when they were fighting a fire or when they were responding to a car accident or something like that, their captain would tell them okay, don't mention where you guys are coming from, because sometimes the victim wouldn't want to be treated by people who were incarcerated, or the other firefighters who they were working with would have some kind of disparaging comments to make about them. But I think a lot of that also stems from the fact that, a lot of these prisons are in very rural and conservative communities. So, people in those communities don't often have the most progressive views about people who are in prison. So I can just speak from that perspective. It was really difficult to deal with, where, people inside were risking their lives to save other people, and we're dealing with judgment, literally from the people who were trying to help sometimes. In terms of the advocacy overall, I agree. I feel like, firefighters who are on the outside should be supporting the folks who are on the inside. So I really hope that that's something that we can see more of moving forward. In terms of, how this all relates to Prop 6, again, Prop 6 was something that it was absolutely devastating that it did not pass. And what Prop 6 would have actually done was it would have removed the language allowing involuntary servitude in the California state prison system. If Proposition 6 had passed, though it didn't have anything in the language necessarily mandating that wages had to be changed or anything like that. It essentially just said that they couldn't force people to work anymore. And I think that may have actually applied to some more of the other jobs in the prison system, working as a janitor in the prison or working in the kitchens or things like that. Those are kind of the jobs where folks get paid less. They don't get the same type of freedoms or credit earning, and they get threatened for not taking up those kinds of positions. So I think Proposition 6 would have had more of an impact on those jobs. But what Proposition 6 would have done was, if it had passed, there was also some companion legislation that moved through Sacramento that said that CDCR, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, would have had to reevaluate the wages at least. So it wasn't a promise that the wages were going to increase, but it would have required that the department would have had to look at the wages and, potentially do something to change them. Because I think the unfortunate reality is that one of the reasons that the state is so adamant about keeping these programs is because it's saving the state a ton of money, to pay somebody $20 a day versus, a couple $100 a day plus, life insurance and having to pay and all of those things. So it's tough because on the one hand, I do see it as a potentially good thing to offer incentives for folks who are inside, to give them more opportunities for freedom, to train them for a real career. But if you're paying them pennies on the dollar, it's exploitation. And if they don't have the opportunity to do that kind of work when they come home,
it's horrible. And we don't necessarily have this situation now because recently the Department of Corrections has actually expanded eligibility for folks inside. But if we rewind back like 10 years, back to like 2014, when we first had realignment, which was, people were getting reclassified and being sent down to county jail instead of state prison, we had almost no people in the state prison system who were eligible to fight the fires. So then at that time, our former Attorney General, Kamala Harris, was actually part of a lawsuit to prevent people from being released from prison so that they would have to stay inside and fight the fires for $1 to $2 an hour. So we've come a long way from there, where now they've expanded the eligibility. There's more people who are allowed to, fight the fires, so we don't have to force people to stay in prison. But we have had prison closures. We have had, resentencing laws passed, which have allowed more people to come home sooner, which is great. We want people to come home from prison, but now the state is freaking out because they're like, oh, now we don't have our low-paid, firefighting force anymore. So I think that hopefully this can be a moment where we realize, like, we have to treat incarcerated firefighters with the same dignity and respect that we treat firefighters on the outside, that they deserve a living wage, and they deserve to have the opportunity to become a professional firefighter when they come home, if that's what they want. So it's very, very complicated.
It is, but nonetheless, you are doing a lot of work along with Initiate Justice to help get them there, as well as to help all incarcerated individuals and people affected along with them. Is there anything else that you would like to share with community in regards to what's going on, or in regards to Initiate Justice? And if you could please let folks know where they can stay connected with you and with Initiate Justice.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I would just want folks to know, and this is something I didn't even mention, that there's also incarcerated youth who are being trained as firefighters. So people who are at youth detention facilities from across the state are also coming down to fight these fires. And they deserve everybody's thanks for their bravery and their skills, because, I just remember the stories that my ex-husband used to tell me just about their trainings, and it's so arduous, it's so challenging, and it really takes a toll on you, like, mentally and physically. So I would just, encourage everybody to show their gratitude to incarcerated firefighters the same way that they would for incarcerated firefighters on the outside, excuse me. And I also want to, uplift an organization called the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, which really has been leading the work over the last few years to expand rights for formerly incarcerated people, to push for expungements and help people become firefighters once they're released. They even opened up a training facility in Ventura County for formerly incarcerated people to kind of streamline people becoming firefighters on the outside once they're released. So really want to uplift the work that ARC is doing there, and to this is an opportunity to use your voice. So if you have a relationship with your assembly member, your senator, I know that you had both Assemblymember Rodriguez and Senator Menjivar on the show earlier today, for folks to advocate for increasing the rate that incarcerated firefighters are getting paid, to remove barriers for them when they're coming home, and hopefully move the state away from this system that we have, where we are exploiting the desperation that folks are feeling on the inside, where they're willing to risk their lives in order to get a few more dollars or get a couple more months off of their sentence. It's a weird situation to be in, because in the interim, it is something that I think is beneficial for a lot of families. I remember for myself, when I found out that my ex-husband got into the program, I was so happy, because I knew he was going to have more freedom, more flexibility. I knew he'd be able to come home sooner, but I was also terrified because I didn't know what was going to happen to him, physically. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, during training, he witnessed somebody pass away. So I really hope that folks can, really just take the time to learn more about this, listen to people who are formerly incarcerated and their family members, and advocate for higher wages and advocate for the removal of barriers once folks come home from prison.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. Again, Taina Vargas. You guys, I'm so sorry. Taina Vargas, we appreciate you so much. Again, you guys, Taina Vargas is the founder of Initiate Justice. And you guys can stay in contact on Instagram at Initiate Justice. There are 2 Instagrams, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Would you like to share about that?
Absolutely, yes. So we have 2 organizations. We have a 501c3, which is Initiate Justice, and then a 501c4, which does more political advocacy, Initiate Justice Action. And you can follow both. The C3 is at Initiate Justice, and our C4 is at IJ_Action.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We'll catch you another time. And guys, we'll be right back with our final segment, which is with Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez.
Hello. Hello, everybody. It's the top of the hour. KROJ 101.5 FM, the Panda Hour. We just had 2 hours of a lot. And thanks to Voces Unidas and Las Comadres for holding it down today and collabing with the Panda Hour for this amazing, informative episode. Thank you so much to everybody that's joined us so far. Again, you're listening to the Panda Hour on KRJ 101.5 FM Radio Lean, streaming out of San Fernando City, California, and our host, Webley Salud. This next segment is pre-recorded, and it is Diosy and Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez, and they had an interesting conversation out of Diosy's residence in Southern California. So here is, it's loading again because I accidentally pressed exit. So I'm gonna wait till it's press play again. But Diosy is gonna come on in just a second. And just listen to some music and you'll hear her and the councilwoman talking. Thank you so much. Oh, there it is. Bye.
Hi, Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're so grateful for your time. I know you're so busy right now. How are you doing right now? I know you're on the ground.
Yeah, I'm just trying to take a breather because I'm actually sleep deprived. My team and I have been out. We've done horse evacuations. We've been out in the neighborhoods, press events, like you name it. So we've been everywhere, and we're coordinating resources for people. So it's just a lot going on. It's a very busy time.
Yes, I can only imagine. Just being here at home, I can hear the fire cars passing by. I can hear all the emergency vehicles. So I know that the community is very active regardless of the fires and everything. So I'm glad you guys are safe. I'm glad you guys are able to take a little bit of a break. A lot of folks are wondering how they can get support or contribute to the recovery effort. What's the best way for people to get involved right now, whether they're offering resources or looking for help themselves?
So we are actively coordinating donations through North Valley Caring Services, which is a great nonprofit that we work a lot with to do food pantry distributions in North Hills. I know a lot of people want to provide actual resources. Right now, Pepsi donated several pallets of water, and we're going to get those out to folks in Silmar because the potable water sources are obviously there's some concern, so we want to make sure that everyone has drinkable water. We just lifted the evacuation orders in Silmar. We got the all clear. They've been reduced to evacuation warnings because we still do have an active fire at the Hearst fire, but we want to try and
allow everybody back in their homes. There's still some power outages in Silmar. Power lines have been down. The winds were really, I'm sure people heard them. I could hear them on Tuesday night, and I experienced them firsthand when I was in Silmar and in Lakeview Terrace. So it's, we're still all in recovery mode, and we've got a lot of new fires starting. And so all city crews are really stretched thin, from street services to DWP all around the city. And so we're just trying to do our parts to plug all those holes.
Wow. Well, thank you for the updates. That's good news on Silmar. With so much still up in the air, whether it's the winds or the ongoing recovery, how can we help people stay grounded, especially when it feels like everything's so out of control?
Well, I know people are stressed. There's a lot of anxiety, especially, I think, for kids, it can be scary. And the LA County has a number of, mental health resources available. People can call 988. We want to make sure that people are getting the mental health support that they need. But again, I think if you want to offer support and like for donations, North Valley Caring Services is great. For a local organization, we have obviously the Red Cross is broadly they're providing resources at the evacuation centers. Again, thankfully, because we're lifting or reducing the evacuation orders in Silmar, Richie Valens will not be necessary at this time, but there was people were very generous. There was a lot of donations, food taken, local restaurants that were responding to some of the folks that were there. And, we're just coordinating. We're waiting for Amazon has made some donations again through North Valley Caring Services. So we're just trying to help get connected. If people need resources, reach out to North Valley Caring Services. I know for like the food distributions, those are ongoing and they're going to continue. People want to volunteer for the food distributions. We always need help with that. That's on a weekly basis. So we have so many families that remain food insecure, and we're trying to make sure we meet everybody's needs and continue to.
Thank you. That's such good information, just even for the families right now that are having their littles at home. And so I know that there's a number of centers open right now for community to go to. Is there anything else that you would like to share with community? Any words of encouragement that you would like for community to hear?
Sure. And, and I want to just remind everybody, also LA Unified is doing food distributions, because I know, working families are struggling. There's when schools are closed and working families, they don't have a lot of alternatives for childcare. The YMCAs are providing childcare assistance. I know Mid-Valley YMCA and others. And we're posting a lot of those resources on my social media. If you go to Emerald CD7, but we just ask for everyone's cooperation. We know how frustrating it is to be without power during the immense heat wave. I know I was without power for 36 hours, and that was painful. So I understand how frustrating it is, but this is a widespread citywide event, and DWP employees are, working in very dangerous and treacherous conditions, given the fires and everything, and everyone's doing their best to try and restore power everywhere. And so we ask for everyone's patience and caution that if you see something, especially because we continue to see people that are exploiting this situation with looting, any suspicious activity, please report it to LAPD. But we want to remind everybody that, we're one community, and we got to help one another and support one another. And we're here to support you. I'm here to support you. And if there's something that you need, if you see a down power line, report that to 911. If you see a down tree, report that to 311, or get in touch with our office. My office is always available, and we're here to be of service. So we're all living through these same circumstances together, and we need to live as one positive community that can come together and support each other.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez. We'll continue to be updated with you through Instagram at MRodCD7. We're looking forward to keeping updated with you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
OMG.
There you guys have it. That was Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez with some updates. We had a phone call earlier this afternoon, early evening, actually. It was like right around 4 p.m., right before the second press conference happened. And so, super, super grateful. Thank you so much, Councilwoman Monica Rodriguez, for giving us some of your time today. I know that all the elected officials that were on air with us tonight, they all had pretty rough days, but we are grateful as constituents, and as a collective and as members of Radio Olin, KROJ, and Valley Views SFV Media, to have you guys share some of that time with us to continue informing community and pushing out all of the information. On the phone right now, I have community leader, and one of the newest members of the City of San Fernando Chamber, Liz from Aguas Frescas, Liz Aguas Frescas, and she has a bit of information that she wants to share, that's going down here in San Fernando right now. Hi, Liz. How are you? One second, Liz. One more time. Hi, Liz. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How about yourself?
Good, good. You know, just here, having conversations with people, local leaders, just trying to inform community. I know you heard us on air and you had some information you wanted to share.
Yes, actually, so I went earlier to the San Fernando Park and also Las Palmas Park here in San Fernando Valley. And I know that they are helping people that don't have power in their homes. They're kind of having them come over and then just either like hang out, like the kids. Also, making sure that they can charge their phones, any devices they need to charge. So if any of the community needs any charging stations, you guys are welcome to go there. I know they're open. I'm not sure exactly what time they're open, but I want to say safely like 9 o'clock-ish, up until 9 o'clock at night. I know it's a little too late now, but maybe you guys can, stop by tomorrow and charge your items. In addition to that, I know that they would like some donations, maybe for the kids that are hanging out, maybe some waters, some drinks, some snacks, or anything like that. If the community can kind of help out and donate, it would be great. I also stopped by the Paxton Park Recreation Center, and they actually pretty much have a lot of the things already, but they did say that if anybody wants to donate, they can go to the Salvation Army. I know there's one in North Hills, and so you guys can donate there, and then they can distribute it to wherever people, wherever other places need it, so they will distribute it. Yeah, I think that's it. I also went and I donated some dinner and some agua frescas to the fire department right there by San Fernando Mission in Sepulveda. And so they were very happy to have some home cooked meal and some drinks for them. So if you guys want to donate to them as well, because they're up and about, that would be great as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing this information with our listeners. We look forward to continuing to connect with you, Liz. And I'll catch you. Oh, actually, do you want to let folks know what happened with this Friday's meeting at Bodevi?
Okay. So it seems like I'm not sure exactly. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure exactly what had happened, but I know that they're still having the chamber come in and have coffee with the mayor, I believe, and just chambers to come in. But I know that they I'm sorry, I'm not really aware of what's going on, but I know that they kind of canceled it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I'm pulling it up right now. I believe that the meeting is still gonna go ahead and proceed, if I'm not mistaken. 1 second, let me pull that up. And it is loading. So, due to the devastating fires, we are postponing our officer installation. However, please still join us for our regular coffee with the chamber to engage with your community. And I believe that they had scheduled State Assembly member Celeste Rodriguez to be there. So, I'm not sure if I think that's what they're talking about. I don't think that Assembly member Celeste Rodriguez will be able to be there, but the meeting will still be happening at Bodevi. So
Yes.
thank you so much, Liz. Looking forward to catching up with you this Friday, tomorrow, if you're there, and we'll catch up soon.
Yes, yes. And then, just if anybody has any questions, they can DM me at Aguas Frescas by Liz in Instagram. That is Aguas_Frescas_by_Liz. And then whatever I can help with, I will, whatever I can do. I can, donate voluntary time or whatever, just go ahead and DM me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll catch up soon.
Yes, thank you.
So sorry, Liz. I didn't mean to cut you off. So there you guys have it. Comadre, any final words? Any thoughts? I mean, that was quite the episode.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember the resources that was discussed by the Assemblywoman and by Senator Caroline and Councilwoman Monica, to really just utilize those evacuation centers or those like centers where it's open for the community. Really take advantage of that, especially if you don't have power. Don't be like me and go out and spend $150 on a battery that you're not going to use. I should probably keep it just in case. You never know. But yeah, I definitely use the resources that are available to you in your community, because that's also going to help, I think, emotionally bring you together with other folks that are going through the same thing, so you won't feel as alone. I know right now we're focusing on staying inside and staying safe because the air quality is so bad, but if you have an opportunity to connect with community, even through the phone, in person, do that, because it's really important for us to also take care of ourselves emotionally as well during these difficult times. We're looking at a lot of devastation, and a lot of these things do stay with us and can trigger some memories, or it can be memories that will be triggering later on. So it's definitely important for us to take a moment, like Assemblywoman said, to just breathe and take a second and focus, recenter, and we're gonna get through this.
Yeah, and as much as we all love to doom scroll, maybe right now isn't the best time to be doom scrolling. And so I'm gonna take some of that advice myself and try to stay off of social media as much as possible. I know our work is very much involving social media, so that's really hard ask to do, but in the name of taking care of our mental health, that is something that I took as a reflection from today. Daniel Molina,
Hello.
any final thoughts? Anything to say as we wrap up?
Well, I'm really happy that everybody came on today and really shared some really good information. Like I just got off the phone with Panda on the last break when we were listening to your interview with the councilwoman. He's really happy, so I'm glad. He was like, this is something that we could do. Like he thinks that if like something comes up that we're like as important as this, like we could talk about it on a Thursday immediately. Like it's worth it. We checked out the Panda Hour the Panda Hour's purpose is to just share the journey with creative lifestyle, music, art, whatever. And basically, like, it tied in, with the Panda making the song yesterday. And, like, with the world burning down two blocks away from him, you know. And I'm just happy about that. I'm happy that we're gonna release this soon. I want to have a quick turnaround on this episode specifically because it does have a lot of information. So, looking to be posting this in the next 2 days. I'm just like, you know, like I hope everything gets better as we go on. Like, you know, like I haven't even checked what's going on in the West Valley or like, you know, past that in the Palisades, but I know that they contained the fire here in Pacoima that was burning, that started during the show. Am I finishing up the final thoughts on this? Because I want to share something else.
Yeah, go ahead, Daniel.
So I want everybody to be on alert. I'm gonna tell you right now, something that's really triggering me is the immigration raids.
Yes.
Or like the threat of them. And I'm letting you know that if any happen here in the valley, I'm there and I'm documenting it because I feel like I have protection as a veteran, so I don't think I'll get caught up. If I do get caught up, it's gonna be a situation. But just if that happens, hopefully not. Because I was like in my vehicle once going to check Laurel County and Osborne to see if they were there because there were reports and calls of like, hey, is it there? Is it there? So I went and checked. It wasn't there. And then there was another rumors of it being up in Sire and Foothill by the Vallarta and Silmar, that they were going to do a raid there. And like, it turns out they didn't.
Yeah.
But if it happens, and hopefully it doesn't, I'm telling you, I really don't want this to happen, but I will be there to document it, and we'll be releasing it as Voces Unidas. And
yeah, guys,
because we need to inform you, because this is the first time I'm experiencing
this close to us.
Yes.
I think the most important thing is for folks to remember that if you do get a knock at your door, you don't need to answer.
Yeah.
You are not obligated to answer the door. You are not obligated to answer any questions. They may be very, very intimidating and very scary, but as long as you stay quiet and you ask for an attorney, an immigration attorney, you should be able to get proper representation, because I think what happens is ICE really sort of relies on the fear and the shock to really disorient people into sort of giving up their rights. So it's really important that we let community know that you don't have to talk to anybody unless you have an attorney present. Like, that is just blanket statement for everybody.
And on top of that, it's so sad that like I feel like the immigrant population is one of the most respectful people towards towards police,
and that's what makes them
towards
vulnerable.
Authorities. And I'm like how are we exploiting like one of the hardest working classes? Like, it literally, like I was working with some construction workers that were like undocumented, and they were like sharing like that. I was telling them like, oh, I'm about to go see my son after this, and they're like, oh, I haven't seen my son in 2 years because I traveled over here to send money back, and I can't even go back and see him.
Yeah.
So like, how, like, it's just like, politics is just crazy sometimes, and I don't even want to just give it that blank label
that
of politics,
energy.
but yeah, like, it's just like, it's unfortunate, and just letting the people know that we will be actively like putting our foot down and helping our communities with this stuff. So
yeah, and so along with that, if you guys have any information you would like to share with us, any updates in the community, as you guys heard today on our show, we are very well connected and have very good relationships with our elected officials and their offices here, and we look forward to building those relationships and to be able to bridge them with everyone on air. And so again, any information regarding immigration, regarding the fires, the weather, the youth, anything in the community, please, if you guys want to share that, you guys can find us on Instagram at Voces Unidas in Pacoima. That's going to be at Voces Unidas N, which is E-N, not I-N. Voces Unidas en Pacoima. And we are also on Instagram as Las Comadres _VU. You can also connect with us through Alex Infinity if you are a musician and would like to be featured on our locals only playlist on Spotify. We would love to have your music on there. if you're from the San Fernando Valley. So you guys can reach out directly to Alex Infinity, or you can send that over to us as well.
And just wanted to mention, or I don't know if you're going to add to this, but we did talk about if you want to stay updated with like a lot of the stuff that's happening with the fires. Valley Views has been very active with that, so like they've been very quick with their turnaround. So you can stay up to date with that. We usually share that on our platforms too, Voces Unidas and Las Comadres. So, but I'm sure you'll see everything. Like, there's a lot of people on social media being active right now, so that's a good thing. People are getting the word out.
Yeah, and especially our elected officials. I know
Definitely.
Assemblywoman Rodriguez does have her own Instagram page. I saw in my email earlier she sent out a message to like everybody talking about like the resources. So also like check your elected officials Instagram or social media, because they do have a lot of reposted information from other agencies and the information that relates to their district. So that's always a good idea to just Google or look at Instagram.
Yes. Again, thank you to everyone who reached out, and to everyone who answered our messages today in regards to today's episode. And I want to give a quick little shout out to KROJ Studios here at Pueblo y Salud. Shout out to Pueblo y Salud. Shout out to Ruben, the executive director, who is here throughout the show, giving us words of encouragement and, just making sure that we were okay as well. Shout out to Valley Views SFE Media for staying on top of all the information regarding the current events. Shout out to our sponsors, Prime One Design, to Superior Carco, and to La Mariposa Mexican food. If you guys are not aware, La Mariposa Mexican food is going to be closed tomorrow as well. We've been closed for the last 3 days. So we will not be open tomorrow either due to the weather and to the fires. And so that is about it for our show. If you guys want to tune in with us next time, we'll be on air on Monday, next Monday, with the Voces Unidas crew. But if not, we are also going to be here with Valley Views this Sunday. So hope to catch you guys on the airwaves at any point. Again, this is Diosy, and I'm here with my Comadre
Maria.
And with Compa
Momo.
That was Voces Unidas and the Panda Hour collab. Signing off now.
Shout out to Compa Mike on the
Compa Mike.
On the cams. We love you so much.
Thanks,
we love you, Mike.
Stay safe, all.
All right, stay safe, everybody. Bye.